Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Overcast Gamer Show on this, the 17th of December, 2017. I'm your host for today. Hello, or Balthazar Valentine, as I'm usually known by. I'm joined, as per usual, by...
Reagan Harper.
And Michael Lake.
Finish. Yep. Okay. Sorry, Mike, cut you off a bit there. I was waiting for you to join immediately after Regan, and then thought maybe you were waiting for a second introduction because you're not an as per usual. But you're an as per usual at the moment. We've got Mike again, like in the Game of the Year show, because Abe's off globetrotting in Europe. No Abe today. No Abe for the foreseeable future still either. Not sure. Hopefully we'll see him again at some point. Hopefully he'll come back.
I'm 50-50. Like if we were doing a sweepstakes on whether or not Abe actually comes back to New Zealand, because he fucking loves Europe, eh? Like I think he just seems to have some kind of affinity with Europe, and so yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he just was like, hey, just gonna live in London or something,
Mike, you love Europe as well, don't you? Is it Germany you're going to at the start of next year, or?
No, I mean I've lived in Germany before, but I don't have any plans to go back in the meantime. Yeah.
I
do love Germany.
That probably explains why your Skype profile says you're in Germany. Does that make sense?
Oh, really?
Because
yeah, probably.
Yeah, Balthazar was I think it's this guy here, but it says he's in Germany. I'm pretty sure that's him. And turns out it was. Yeah.
Yeah, might have actually set it up when I was in Germany. So yeah, that would make sense.
Nice. Well, what have you guys been up to this past? How long has it been since the last pod now? Probably 3 weeks.
Yeah, quite a while. And I haven't been doing too much other than being a little bit slack with getting the other podcasts up. So if you follow OCG, we did a kind of a year in review show, and that was up a couple of weeks ago. And we also have the second half of that, which is our personal Game of the Year awards, the Windies, and so that's going to be going up this afternoon as of like today when we're recording this. So it's kind of been weird for me. Like I've been busy, but if you asked me to go back and tell you what I've been doing, I couldn't really give you like a straight answer on what it is. Yeah, it's just been one of those times. It's been one of those kind of times where you just seem to not have any expendable time, which is kind of good and bad. So yeah, not a whole lot to report on my side of things. What about you guys? What's been happening?
Mike?
I'm just busy with work, really. Just sort of dying in the heat during the day, and then
God, yeah.
Fucking New Zealand day. It's
busy at work.
I kind of wish that we were like the other hemisphere, and that this time of the year was cold. I don't know. It's Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I would be liking some cold right now, but anyway.
Yeah. Well, I saw Star Wars yesterday. One of my one annual movie trip is to the yearly Star Wars release, now that Disney's got its yearly schedule going. Of course, I have had 2 this year because I went and saw Thor a while back, so I broke the rhythm there. But no, I saw Star Wars Episode 8 yesterday. Good film. I won't spoil anything, but I do have a story to share from it.
Yeah, go on.
Which is that I had next to me on my left, because it was a packed out theater, and yeah, on my left there was an American family. And they were glorious. They were so American, but also just potentially the best random strangers to be sitting next to.
Sure.
So while you're waiting, it's trailers are hit and miss. Some people enjoy trailers before movies. Some people don't. If you're the sort of person who doesn't enjoy trailers for a movie, you had your pre-movie entertainment if you were sat next to this family. So first thing is they show up and they walk up and down the aisle about 4 times. They found their seats, but they haven't decided what order they want to sit in because there's 4 of them. There's a son, a daughter, a mum, and a grandfather. So finally they figure it all out and they sit down and they're sharing the snacks, and either they're not aware of the volume they're speaking at, or in America, sort of until the actual movie starts, people just talk, they're just loud and they don't care. Either's a possibility. But the mum was the mum and the son were on the opposite ends, and then next to the mum was the granddad, next to him was the daughter, and then, the son. So the mum and the son were the furthest away from each other. And the mum decided she was only going to talk to the son, so I had to kind of lean forwards and yell across. And so I immediately learned the son's name was George. And that George apparently was in a bit of a mood. I don't really know why, but the conversation was pretty much, George, do you want some candy, George? No.
No.
Do you want some popcorn, George? No. Why are you in a mood, George? Stop being in a mood. So while Mum's telling George that he's in a mood and he's just saying no, the daughter is, trying to, I guess, make them not seem like a horrendous yelling family. So she tries to have a nice conversation with the grandfather, and she turns to him and goes, "You excited for the movie, Granddad?" And he goes, "I'm jet lagged."
I'm jet lagged.
He goes, "Well,
this is the last place I want to be."
But, yeah. What about the movie? What is it? It's Star Wars. Oh, it'll be okay then. Yeah, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Mom, I'm fine. So now back to George. You're in a mood, George. I'm not, Mom. Just leave me alone. Are you upset, George, because you found out Jar Jar Binks isn't in the movie? Mom, that's not it. So it was brilliant, and they were all just yelling at each other. In the end, as soon as the mum stopped talking, everyone quietened down and it was fine. So I think she was just the catalyst for the whole debacle.
Was there anyone, like, could you sense any sort of, because if they were talking through the trailers, I do know that there are some people who are like, hang on now, like the trailers are in my thing. Could you sense any
part of what I paid for?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Certainly not in my immediate area. Most people were actually talking up until the movie started, not helped by the fact that there was an issue with showing the trailers. Sort of the last 5 seconds of every trailer, when it got towards the end, it would freeze on a random frame while the sound was still playing and the colors would get all warped. It made some of the trailers incredible. Some of the ones that were just ads for things. So someone was like, "Oh, I'm glad I went and got my teeth done at, this place." And then the frame would freeze and all the color would drain out and the teeth went bright red. And it was perfect. Like, yeah.
No, that sounds amazing.
It was really bizarre. But no, the movie was good, but so was the pre-movie entertainment in this particular instance as well. So I saw it just at the Reading in the Titan screen. And, there was cheering, there was clapping, there was laughing. It's one of those very involved audiences, which I find you always get when you go to a packed theatre. One person, cheers or claps at something, and then someone who's in agreement but is never going to be the one to start it does it as well because someone else is, and then in the end the whole theatre's doing it except me because I don't join in on those things.
Yeah. That sounds fun. That sounds good, like a good vibe. Did you see it on the day that it came out? Like, you wouldn't have gone to the premiere, I'm sure, but like...
I saw it yesterday afternoon. We went to an afternoon session because normally they are less full.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of an early session, like as in close to release, but we were still able to get good seats. So like middle of the middle row kind of thing, like those perfect seats you always try to get.
Yeah.
So pretty much I think we went to the first session that we could get to that we could get great seats for.
Yeah.
And yeah, good experience.
Awesome. I'm so pleased to hear that there was, American family there. Like it's funny about Americans, like they, because we're exposed to so much American media and things, and America's defined by kind of the size and scope and just the kind of bombacity of everything. And then you sort of come across just regular Americans, and they just embody it all. It's great. It's awesome. Yeah. Nice.
Cool. Well, if that's all we've all been doing in the past few weeks, let's cut into what we've been playing. So, Regan, over to you first.
Yeah. Well, I was saying before how I haven't had much free time, but I have had a couple of hours to squeeze in a little bit of game playing, and I went and bought the new Assassin's Creed. And I can't remember if I talked about this on the last pod. I probably didn't because, the last pod was like 30 years ago. But went and picked it up and paid, Like I think I went to JB and paid like $80 for it or something like that, which I felt was okay. And have had maybe 4 or 5 hours with it so far. And my initial impression, right, was, because there was all this kind of talk and hype with the game beforehand around how, like, they tried to incorporate aspects of The Witcher and games like this, and they'd taken their year off and that sort of thing. And my initial impression was that I could see what they had done, but like the kind of, it was still lacking that heart. There's I guess the biggest difference between a game like The Witcher and a game that's made by someone like Ubisoft is, Ubisoft are just kind of copying and pasting in some ways, and it just means that it feels a little bit empty and that kind of thing. But as I've spent more time with it, I'm starting to get the impression that it's going to be better than than my first impressions gave it credit for. So there's lots of mechanics. The fighting is newer and definitely better than the previous Assassin's Creeds, but is probably not as refined as it could be. It's a little bit clunky. It feels so. There's more to it. There's a dodge. It kind of plays essentially like The Witcher in a lot of ways. The fighting mechanic. You lock on. There's a dodge. There's a parry. There's all of that kind of stuff. But it's not as button mashing as the old Assassin's Creed used to be. But it just feels a wee bit clunky. Maybe not quite as refined as The Witcher perhaps was, which is maybe saying something, because I don't know. How did you guys find the fighting in The Witcher? Did you find that clunky, or did you not, or how did you feel about it?
I found it fine, to be honest. It wasn't refined, like it wasn't, the sleekest combat system, but I felt like they were going for more of a Dark Souls combat system feel, where stuff felt weighty, and like every time you pressed the button, it was going to react to it. So you couldn't just bash. You actually had to, have some precision and forethought to what you were doing. So I felt like it didn't necessarily feel right for the genre for me, but it didn't feel like a foreign or new sort of method of combat being controlled.
Yeah, well, that's totally fair enough. I think they probably have gone for a bit of that, but I don't know. Maybe as I get used to it and I get the buttons down and that kind of stuff. Like, it's early days. Like, I'm probably still just a bit shit at it, but as I get the buttons down, that might be alleviated. But generally speaking, there's loads of mechanics in there. So I really do like the mechanic with the eagle. So he's got like a pet eagle, right? And you can sort of, I guess, inhabit the eagle, and then you fly up and you can fly about with your eagle, and you can look about and use that as kind of finding where you need to go. So you don't have that sort of map littered with stuff. There's still a lot of shit on the map, but you're not just getting a map that is just a shitload of waymarkers and things. You actually kind of need to use your eagle to scope out the area and that kind of thing, which I think is done quite well and is really cool. There's what I always enjoy with those games is going out and hunting beasts and things to get resources for building gear, crafting gear, that kind of thing. And that's
making
always
a better wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of
a better wallet for keeping your coins
from a hippo skin.
yeah. I think in this one it's a crocodile skin, but it's hippos, crocodiles, same diff. And I'm sure hippos will come up at some stage. It'd be rude for them not to. But so it's good. I am looking forward to spending some more time with it. I don't want to say too much, I guess, just because it's it's early days. But it's good. It's good.
It does look massive as well. Like saw a video where, first of all, like flying up with the bird and just looking around, and then like sort of zooming out on the map, and it just has like this massive area, and then it just like goes out further, and like that massive area is just like one sort of like state, or
it's huge.
One sort of zone out of like it's 10 or so.
Yeah, it's fucking ginormous. Like, they actually did a White Orchard type thing where, you're in a smaller area and then you do your little tutorial and all that kind of stuff, and then you move across to one of the bigger areas, I guess, so it's not, you learn the mechanics and it's not overwhelming. But that transition to that first major area, it was kind of like, holy shit. It's massive. I again, it's early days, so I don't know the true scope of it, but if this first area is anything to go on, and then looking at the kind of map screen that you can have a look at, it's like on the scope of something like The Witcher. It's huge.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but that's pretty much me. Yeah.
Cool. What about you, Mike? What have you been playing?
Well, I picked up Dark Souls 3 finally.
Nice.
So just sort of like I'd run out of other games to play, and there wasn't much coming out that I wanted to play. So went and picked that up because it's been on my list for a while to get into.
And it's classic Mike, isn't it? You know, I'm surprised you haven't played it before now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you know, I'm a big fan of Bloodborne, and it's basically, you know, pretty much the same game. But more Dark Souls. And just been having a blast with that. It's just sort of like Bloodborne all over again. So actually managed to finish it, play through the whole story. Must have been last weekend. Finished it. But it's been quite good. So I've been chatting to Balthazar about it because he's been playing it quite a bit as well, and he's been thought he's been giving me advice, but turns out he's just been sort of trolling me in a big way, feeding me false information. Like he told me to pick up a sword and upgrade it, and he says, oh, when you upgrade it, it's got like an S rank strength modifier. So if you got 60 strength, then it just kills anything in one hit, kind of thing. So I was like, oh, cool. Like picked it up, like spent ages like upgrading it to the maximum level, and then it turns out it was only a C rank modifier, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's
was
right.
that with the right infusion on it though to make it purely strength?
Well, that was the base thing, but then
that makes it like A+, right? So
I put the gem thing in it to make it to increase the strength modifier, and it went to A rank, which is still pretty good. But I was just like, oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's still a pretty good sword.
So how long would you spend doing that on Balthazar's advice?
Good number of hours. Like spend a few hours, like farming materials and like wandering around trying to get what I needed to do it. That wasn't even the worst of it. I got up to a boss. This dude flies in on a dragon. It's a real cool. Yeah, the unnamed king. Real cool boss fight. So you like fight him when he's on a dragon, and then once you've fought him, he sort of gets off and he kills the dragon, and then you fight him on the ground. He's this massive guy with like this big spear, like this lightning spear, and just having so much trouble with him. So I was like talking to Balthazar about it, and he's like, Balthazar's like, oh yeah, it's real easy. You just like you can parry most of his attacks. There's like only a couple you can't actually parry. So I was like, oh cool.
Yeah.
So, like on the weekend, finished work, got home, like spent about 2 hours fighting him, trying to parry his attacks, and I just couldn't do it. Like because you gotta time it really well to parry an attack, and just couldnn't do it. So I was like, oh, whatever. Went to bed, got up the next day, spent about another half hour trying to parry his attacks, and I was just like, oh, I just can't do it. So like read up on the Dark Souls wiki, and the wiki page just says can't parry this enemy's attacks. Can't parry enemy's attacks. Just like, oh,
none of them.
God, like I just spent like so long just fucking getting killed over like trying to parry.
Oh wow! Is this just because? I mean, it seems to me like I've never really played these games, but it seems to me like as soon as you play Dark Souls, trolling is essentially kind of part of the game.
Yeah. Well,
would that be fair to say?
Like, yeah, I don't think it was intentional. Like, I find it really funny, but like Balthazar.
Yeah, it was. If you actually put in, like, if you have no prior Dark Souls 3 game data or anything on a PlayStation, if you put in the original game, so not like the Game of the Year or the Solar Cinder edition or whatever it's called, and don't ever connect to the internet and don't update it, you can parry the Nameless King in his initial 1.0 release form. And I don't actually know when they patched it to make him parryable. And because all of my game time pretty much since, a few initial playthroughs has just been PvP, I was going off, like 2-year-old information. So it's like I fought that dude, you can beat him really quickly by parrying him and stabbing him. That's just not the case anymore. And likewise, the Dark Sword used to be on 1.0 an S modifier for strength. And everyone bitched about it because it was the most OP noob sword in the game, which is why I recommended it to Mike, because if you want to have an easy way, first playthrough, even if people online call it a noob sword, they don't know you're using it for the campaign. If you just want to get through, get some souls, level up, get some gear, use the fucking noob sword. Why not? So I recommended it, but then it turns out, it's been nerfed to an A rank modifier, and it might have also had its invisible range reduced. It used to have this great sword length range, even though it's just a short sword.
No, definitely it just has regular range, I think. So, but
wow,
that's all right.
So you inadvertently trolled. That's amazing, funny. And I love that. That it's happened with a game like Dark Souls 3, where it's just you didn't even mean to, and you still trolled them. It's amazing.
And then just regular trolling as well. I've been doing a little bit of that. I just invading people and sitting next to a bridge you can just break when people try to run across it. So you just disguise myself as a tree and just sit next to the bridge, and then when the group or the dude, the host of the world, comes through, wait for him to be at the right spot, and then you just jump out and slash the rope holding the bridge together, and it just sort of slowly collapses, and the guy's just trying to run across it in a panic, and it just falls down right as they're about to reach the end. So been having some fun with that, just being a bridge troll. It's a good fun game. Other than that, nice. I picked up the Wipeout Omega collection. It was on sale on the PlayStation Store. You guys played it, Reagan? You into that sort of racing?
Nah, never really did Wipeout, because it was a PlayStation 1 original, right? Have I got that right? From back in the day?
Yeah, the first one I ever played was, I think, the second Wipeout, which is Wipeout 2097, and that was on the PlayStation 1, which I got in about 1999, I think, back in the day.
Shit. Okay, so I would have never really played them because I didn't own a PS1 until really late in that console cycle.
Yeah.
And I really just played my mates, and we spent all our time playing things like Final Fantasy VII. So can't say I was kind of party to that at the time.
All right. Yeah, it's good fun. It's I've been playing it sort of a bit more as a casual game as opposed to Dark Souls 3. So just jumping in, doing a couple races here and there. And it's real fun. You just fly real fast throughout the track, and just you've got the quite like the air brakes. So you just sort of flying around a corner, and then you can just tap the air brakes, which is on the shoulder buttons, and it just sort of pops up a flap on your ship, and you just sort of do more of a sharp turn while still going at a
cool
speed. So it's just real fast, real fun. Bit of ship combat, and they've got a mode called Zone, which they just plop you on a track. So you start at going one of the slower speeds. Problem is for this mode you just accelerating the whole time, so you can't actually stop or anything like that. You just got to use the air brakes and steer around the course, and it just slowly makes you go faster and faster.
Wow.
And you're just zooming throughout the track and just smashing into corners everywhere, and eventually your ship just blows up. But the object is to reach a certain spot. You go through zone, so it goes zone 1, 2, 3. It gets faster. Usually goes Mach 1, Mach 2, Mach 3.
Does it, when you hit Mach, is it kind of I'm just imagining with those games it makes a really big deal about it, so it makes a big noise and colors and sparks fly out and all that kind of stuff? Is it something along those lines?
Not really. The immediate collection is 3 games, so not sure. So I played a bit of the first one, which is 2048. I'm not sure if it did it with that one, but I moved on to the second one, which is Wipeout HD, and that one they do all these sort of psychedelic colors on the track, so it's a normal racing track, but they just make all the colors really whack and colorful, and so each sort of zone or speed is a signified with different colors. So you'll go to the next zone, and then all the tracking colors will change color. So it looks really trippy, and you're just flying around. It's pretty cool. So.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's good fun. That's about me. I played a bit of Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. So it's the first Xenoblade on the 3DS. Yeah, I don't have too much to say about it. Yeah, bit of a slow going game. But probably just let Balthazar talk about the second one. It's more new.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I've played a few things since our last pod. I'm trying to remember because I'm tracking back a bit because I know that when I was playing it, I really wanted to talk about the Dot Hack last Recode remake for PS4 because I got that back when it first came out in mid-ish November, and it was great. As someone who wanted to play those games back on PS2 but never could, because by the time I learned of them, they were incredibly rare and unavailable everywhere, having them come to PS4 was great. And PC, though I got this one on PS4 because some of the PC reviews were complaining about graphical glitches and stuff. So I thought, play it safe, go with the PS4 one. That seems to... I mean, it is just a remake for PS2 games, so it's going to be optimized for Sony platforms. Let's just, leave it, be easy. Great series. Have any of you guys played any of the Dot Hack games before?
No.
No, I have not. I've definitely heard of them. I think I have a memory of seeing them, like one of them when we were young, on like the shelf at the video store, where the rental United Video. But that's it. That's all I know.
I actually don't think I'd heard of them until you told me about it, Balthazar.
Right. Well, I've always wanted to play the PS2 ones, and they're basically the story is they're a game series where the game it's a single player game, but it's an MMO inside a world kind of thing. So the game, technically the character you play in the game is someone who's playing a character in a game, and you're controlling their character within the game. But every now and again, you will quit the game and be just the person behind the MMO, sort of checking their emails or going to forums or whatever. And it's really weird, but it's really cool because, you really get into this world, like going to news websites and stuff and reading up on what's going around, getting hooked on a show called Salvador Ihutter's Online Jack, which is like a extreme investigator who breaks into places to get the real scoop in the news and stuff like that. And these are fully animated episodes, like up to sort of 10-minute episodes of news exposés. And we're talking animated, not like, modern sort of 3D animations, but old school sort of cartoons, like hand-drawn animation.
Wow.
Really cool. A lot of cool stuff like that. And the game itself, so it was originally a trilogy, but with the PS4 remake, they added a fourth game as well to kind of finish the story.
Oh, wow.
And so, each game I did a medium playthrough, so that's not difficulty. That's I did the story. I hit maximum level within the game because your save file carries between games. So there's a 50 level cap each game. So the first game, 50 is the highest level. Second game, 100. Third game, 150 kind of thing. Cool. So I'd hit the highest level within the game, get the best gear within the game, finish the story, and finish the Abyssal side quest line and kill a doppelganger, because those were kind of the things which were noted in the next game, whether or not you'd done all those things. So I didn't 100% them. I just did more than a base playthrough, but not a full playthrough kind of thing. And then it jumped into the next one. Same thing again, story, level 100. Abyssal quest, kill a doppelganger, and then in that one I collected their Twilight weapons or whatever they were as well, and then in the third one I upgraded everything to max, and then in the fourth one I did just play through the story because they didn't add a whole lot. They just finished the story, so it was just playing a story. Great games. There's almost not a lot to say because they are just good. You know how sometimes you feel like when you're overtly noting everything that's good with the game, it comes off as though you're trying to, it needs promoting kind of thing. There's maybe stuff wrong with it, and so you need to oversell the stuff that's good. But I had nothing to complain about with these games. Therefore, I can't actually praise what's good because I just don't have that built-in desire to justify the game's existence. It was a good game. Like every component within the game, all 4 games were good. Everything that was in them was good. Nothing felt like a poorly added add-on. Like the email system was cool, the forums were cool, posting in forums and having people reply and then replying to them and trolling people and stuff was all cool. They, from the second game onwards, they also added a digital card game you could play from your desktop as well as the MMO. That was cool and didn't feel like a crappy add-on. It actually felt like a fun separate game. They were just really fun. So I definitely recommend it, especially for the price tag. I think it was like $60 on PS4 for 4 games that took about 25 hours each for a medium playthrough, so about 100 hours there.
Nice. Yeah, that's great.
So I did that a while ago. Then more recently, Breath of the Wild again, because Champions Ballad, the second DLC pack for it, came out. And what a DLC pack. What a way to do a DLC. Like, Breath of the Wild nailed everything this year. Everything they did was incredible. The core game was amazing. The first DLC pack was a lot of fun. And now this one, where you get a freaking motorbike for no reason. And
I've seen clips of that motorbike. It looks pretty crazy.
Yeah, and you get a saddle and bridle for your horse so that it can just teleport to you anywhere and stuff as well. Like, they made this the kind of get around easily DLC. But all the trials they added were cool. The armors and weapons they added were cool. The boss they added was badass. I mean, he was harder than Ganon as is, and then when you've beaten him the first time, you can actually go back and re-challenge him, and he's like 10 times harder.
Wow.
And he's freaking awesome.
They really know how to step up that difficulty, eh?
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine doing... When they released the last DLC with the Master Mode, I was just like, holy shit, this is hard.
Yeah.
And then you consider what the late game must be, like, or like the Trial of the Sword, that kind of stuff. Like, how do you... Like, borderline impossible.
Did you ever even finish the Trial of the Sword on normal mode?
I haven't. No, I've still got the last one to do.
Yeah, got to the upper trials and I was like, God, this is tricky.
Because there's like 25 of them or something. Like, it's a long, it's a slog to get through them. Yeah.
Did you have to do all those ones in order as well? Like, if you died, you just had to start from the beginning again. Is that right?
So you would have to start at the beginning of that tier. So if you finished one tier completely, you unlocked the next tier. And so you could always start at that next tier. But the tier was like, so the first one, I think each one was about 25 floors you had to go through to finish the tier.
Oh, wow.
And if you lost at any of those, it was back to the start of the 25 floors again.
Far out.
So, but you get, like, it takes a bit of time to really sort of plot your way through each floor. So it's kind of good that you do it over and over, because you can kind of, you might cheese your way or fluke your way through one, and then you have to start again, and then you actually need to actually properly strategize and things. I think it's really cool. It's a sweet little side mode.
So Breath of the Wild DLC, fantastic as well. Got me back into it, just playing more. After I finished it, I kept playing anyway. I did a whole bunch of collectible stuff, did some more side quests. Did some more master mode trial stuff or attempts. Beat Ganon again, because I was like, oh man, I wonder how different he is now that I've got, an upgraded master sword and all this cool gear and everything. And didn't really notice the difference, to be honest. He was always a pushover. But yeah, it was. It's cool. It's really fun, and definitely recommend that for anyone who already has Breath of the Wild.
Cool. Are they paid DLCs?
They are, yeah. I'm not sure how much they are individually. I think it's $30 New Zealand for the season pass, which is both of them. And I'd say it's worth it. $30 price tag for those is worth, in my opinion.
Are they playing anymore?
Agreed.
I don't believe so. I think, out of the initial proposed DLCs, that was the last one. It's possible they may do another one later. They may see the success or whatever and be like, oh man, we've got an opportunity to do this. But that's not really the Zelda style. I mean, DLC is not anyway, but then just going beyond the initially proposed DLC just because the reception was good. Reception's always been good of Zelda games, and they've, they haven't gone beyond what they promised. They just start making the next one or what have you. So as much as I love the world of Breath of the Wild, the Hyrule within this version of the game, and would love to continue to revisit it with new content, I still hope they stick with, Legend of Zelda, and they don't make a Breath of the Wild 2 or anything like that. They just continue to make more games with more, future versions of Links and future versions of Hyrule, and just keep on changing it up.
Yeah, I can't imagine them doing a Breath of the Wild 2. That'd be weird.
Yeah.
Nah. No, thank you, Nintendo.
Every time I'm like, I have to get a Switch really soon.
Yeah.
You really do.
Yeah.
You do. Maybe Boxing Day sales or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, that's what I'm waiting for at the moment, I think. So
Yeah,
do it. You won't regret
sure.
it. Like it's
yeah.
It like we've talked about this before, how like when people get their Switch, and I had this same conversation with someone at work the other day who had just recently bought a Switch, and I was like, how's the console? And he's like, I love it. I just love it. Like it's just you there's something about it, and you just fall in love with it.
Yeah.
There's something special about the Switch. It's a great console.
It is. And yeah, the last thing I've been playing is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which is the third Xenoblade Chronicles game. And it's good. I enjoy it. Mike, you've been playing the first one, so you know a bit about kind of how the games work. But it is, they can be slow. This one is the most accessible, I'd say, of the three. It's not as slow. They do kind of try to kick the story off straight away and keep it flowing quite consistently. There's still a lot of side quests and stuff that you can go do that can, make it be 10 plus hours before you do another story thing. But if you do just want to follow through the story and keep that pace up, you can. It seems to be paced really well that way.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really all that they've continued from the first game is that everyone lives on the back of Titans. Those giant beasts that are just massive, world-sized, country-sized. And they are just they call them countries in 2. They go from country to country doing these things, and the countries are just Titans, these massive behemoth beasts that move around.
And they're alive in this one, eh?
Yeah, so they are alive, and they're actively moving around, and there's kind of cool mechanics where it's kind of the same world where, in the first game, if you looked over the edge of the Titans, I don't know if you actually got to a point where you were kind of at an edge that you could look over. But there's just kind of the clouds beneath you and everything like that. And in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, you can jump off the Titans and swim through the clouds to kind of reach different areas. And so they do have a mechanic where basically the clouds have tides based on other, the proximity to other Titans and stuff. Like if they're closer together, then the clouds between them rise up and stuff like that. So there are some areas that are only accessible in high tide and some that are only accessible in low tide. So you need to kind of wait or plan your routes based on that, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's very different from X. While it's quite similar to 1, very different from Xenoblade Chronicles X on Wii U, which at first was a little disappointing because X, unpopular opinion, is my favorite Xenoblade Chronicles game. There was just something about that. That game was just crazy. Like I just fell in love with it. It was so fun. And 2 is a lot of fun as well. And the more I play it, the more I appreciate it as something else, and probably like it just as much now. I didn't initially like it as much, but I do like it just as much now, just for completely different reasons. So again, it's a solid Switch title. It continues to add to that library of games on the Switch. The only complaint I'd have is the frame rate. It's not great in a lot of areas because the worlds are so huge. They don't have loading screens and stuff. They really wanted to do that whole populate the whole maps and have them be really big and a lot of creatures and everything and a far view distance and stuff. And I guess they chose that art style so that it wouldn't be a limitation having, huge maps and stuff without loading screens. If they made it a less demanding, less realistic looking art style, they could get away with it, but it still suffers in some of the bigger open areas. There are some areas with a lot of particle effects and it can't handle it. It does make me question why they're there. There's one particular country that one of its other mechanics is whether or not there's a sandstorm going on. And it's supposed to be, it's more dangerous if there's a sandstorm. You shouldn't go out. You should wait until it dies down. But what it actually comes down to is if there's a sandstorm, go to bed because you ain't going out in the sandstorm. Your game will lock up kind of thing. Like it'll drop to an unplayable frame rate. So I do question why they kept that sandstorm element in there. There are certainly a few things that the performance does suffer a bit. But overall, as a whole game, very solid. And if you're into JRPGs and own a Switch, it's definitely a must-have.
Cool. Nice one. Yeah, I'm sort of at the moment sort of tossing up whether I go with Xenoblade, like after I finish Assassin's Creed. Is it Xenoblade? Is it Persona, that kind of thing. Sort of tossing it up, leaning towards Xenoblade, just because I haven't really played like a solid JRPG in a long time, and it sounds wonderful. So, and I get to play it on Switch. So
yeah,
that's also
that's the selling point to me straight away. If you're trying to decide between a game that's on Switch or a game that's not on the Switch, my vote would always be the game that's on the Switch. I just love playing it. It's crazy. I was even last night. I was playing Fire Emblem Warriors again, just because I took my Switch through to bed to finish doing some stuff in Xenoblade, and then I quit Xenoblade because we were watching some stuff on the laptop in bed, and just because I had my Switch in my hands, instead of just putting it to sleep to watch, I just launched up Fire Emblem because it's such a mindless button bashing hack and slash, just run through and kill thousands of guys kind of thing. That's like, I couldn't, if it was any other console, I couldn't just do that, but on the Switch you can, and I freaking love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's about what we've all been playing. So let's kick into some news. There's not been a massive amount because, the end of the year is looming. So all the kind of media outlets are focused on what's happened this whole year, looking back. So there has, of course, been the Video Game Awards for 2017. Not the prestigious OCG Video Game Awards. Those already happened. The less well-known Video Game Awards. Who does them? I always forget his name. I just call him anything. Tom Clancy.
Is it something Keighley?
Jeff Keighley.
Jeff Keighley.
His Video Game Awards, which are always good. They're a good laugh. Good show. He's because he does them independently, doesn't he? I mean, he pays for them all out of his pocket, or takes sort of Patreon donations. They're not a sponsored award show, but they've always got, what is it Schick or Gillette, who is the razor man that they always have there every year, but they're not sponsored by a developer or a reviewer or anything like that. They're independent and they can form their own opinions and not need to cater to any developers or publishers, which is great. So shall we dive a bit into the awards this year? Who took out what and any other shenanigans?
Yes,
let's do it. Yeah.
So I don't know, this site I'm looking through now. Do we want to start with the big one? Because that's what they start with, the actual Game of the Year. I believe this is actually the last award they give out, but they put it at the top of their website, presumably because it's the one most people care about.
Yeah, let's start from the bottom.
All right.
Should we
start from the Nothing Awards? So, Best Chinese Game.
Best Chinese Game. We can just whip through these. Best Chinese Game was JX3 HD. I don't know if that's how you say it, but there you go.
It should have been
I'm
Icy.
Sure, it's a worthy winner.
Out of the games that are there, it should have been Icy. That's all I'll say. Because I've never played or heard of JX3 HD, but Icy is on my wish list on Steam, therefore it's clearly superior.
Nice. The only game in this lot that I have heard of is Monument Valley 2, because I played Monument Valley, the original one, when I was in Europe, and I did that piece on the mobile games that I played. So I'm going to say Monument Valley 2 should have won it, but whatever.
The last one there, King of Glory, that screenshot just looks like League of Legends. But
it does.
Best debut indie game was the next one. Specifically, the best debut indie game that was presented by Schick Hydro. The winner of that one was Cuphead, which I think is probably a deserving win. Have either of you guys played that yourselves?
No.
No.
Personally, looks like it could be fun, but I'm not a fan of that style of animation. It just looks really weird and creepy to me. So,
Golf Story was also on there, which Reagan, you were a fan of. We did a stream of that one.
Golf Story was good.
I really want to play Hollow Knight.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's the only one on there I've played, and that was
is coming to the Switch, I think. So another reason for you to get a Switch for sure.
But yeah, I've heard everyone who's talked about Cuphead who's played it says it's great, so I'm sure that was a deserved one as well. These next two, who cares really? Best esports team. The winner was Cloud9. I've heard of them, so I guess they must be pretty great. Next, obviously, the award we're all eagerly anticipating, the best esports player, presented by Omen by HP.
Thanks, HP.
The winner of Max Faker, or Lee Sang-hyuk in SKT1, which they call SKT1 now.
Yeah, people should, if you go to the website, go to thegameawards.com/awards and have a look at the photo that they've chosen for this guy, because he just doesn't look like he wants to be there.
No, he doesn't at all. The only one the dude who looks most stoked to be there is Nikola Kovac from Counter-Strike Go. That dude, the fourth one along. He knows that he's there and he's stoked to. He's like, yeah, I made it. And what?
Yeah. He's looking pretty serious about it.
The only ones I've heard up there are Faker and Ryuji Hong. So it's good to see they're both there, because they're also the only two esports players I've ever heard the name of. Best esports game. Winner of that one was Overwatch. I don't think there's a lot of surprise with that one at all. Blizzard have been pushing the esport angle really hard for it. I'm sure there are people who play it and other games on the list who would probably disagree and say other games have had a better year for developing as an esport. But I think it's the obvious choice, really, as Overwatch for this one. The other nominees were Rocket League, League of Legends, Dota 2, and Counter-Strike Go. Yeah,
I think that makes sense. And everyone who plays Overwatch agrees that it's a really fun game, even if you're not into the competitive side of things. So while it's done really well as an esport, it's a good game in itself as well. So good job.
Yeah. We're going to skip the next one because I'm not even going to talk about the person who won it. Above that, we got best student game. So this was a high school or college level student made game with sort of no funding. So this is just a cool category in general. The fact that there are so many entries that are, worthy of discussion. I've not heard of any of them, but I'm sure, they're all pretty great. The winner was Level Squared. Looks like maybe is it a mobile game or it might be a PC though.
Yeah.
Looks like a puzzle game of some sort.
I reckon if you got in on this and had a look at it, it would, they would be super creative. Like, I think this would be a really cool category to go through and actually just grab these games and check them out, because I reckon that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Next up, we have best indie game. So what's the difference? Hang on. So this isn't best debut indie game presented by Chic Hydro. This is just best independent game. So I guess this is including games that aren't the first for their developer.
So this is for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system.
Cuphead won there. I'd have to disagree, because Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice is in that category, and how the hell is that not better than some 2D side-scrolling finger bang game? Like, I don't know. It's finger guns Dark Souls. Like, how is 2D finger guns Dark Souls? That doesn't sound like a fantastic game to me.
Have you seen? There's a cool. Just sorry to get off subject a little bit. There's a cool animation someone did where it was like they animated like basically Dark Souls characters and enemies in the Cuphead sort of style.
No.
You didn't see that? Oh,
that sounds really cool.
Yeah, it did look really cool. So they're little like warriors of sunlight, little dudes with their finger banging the little like lightning zaps.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, looked pretty cool.
I've also heard good things about Night in the Woods, which is another nom in this category. So we got Cuphead, who took it out. Pyre by
Supergiant. That's I believe that's the most recent game by the people who did Bastion and Transistor. I think it's them. I think it's the third game by them.
Nice. Night in the Woods, which apparently is also really great. What Remains of Edith Finch and Senua's Sacrifice. So pretty strong category.
Next, we got Most Anticipated Game, presented by McAfee, of all people.
I thought this was the one that made me stop when I was looking down the list, because how do they judge that?
Yeah,
like, how do they know?
I think they go to the trailer on YouTube and they see what has the most likes.
Right.
I don't think of any other way you can do it. I mean, a poll, but a poll of the people there would just be like a really small, limited, pool of information. Like, it would be not great. I would say it's probably just to do with general media attention to it. What is it, sort of how positive the responses are to information or trailers or what have you been put out about them. That's all I can think of, really. So the winner there was Last of Us Part 2. Kind of surprised, got to say. I mean, you guys are pretty stoked for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a great game for sure. But then when you consider that, so the other ones are Red Dead 2, Monster Hunter World, Marvel Spider-Man, and God of War, all very hyped games. I would probably have put Red Dead 2 as the winner, but I don't know. Mike, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's probably pretty up there with Last of Us and Red Dead and God of War. I don't know, they're pretty equal, I suppose, and equally, there's a little bit hyped for those ones.
I like how 3 of the games on the list are Sony exclusives. That's good.
Yeah.
3 of the most anticipated games are only coming to PlayStation.
Yeah, Sony's marketing team just working overtime. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised. I mean, I guess it's a good fit. I can't think. I mean, the only other game on there, the only other games, God of War, and Monster Hunter World, I didn't care too much about when I saw it coming for PS4. But now that I see it's also coming to PC, I care more about it. I'll probably pick it up on PC.
Nice.
Next we have Best Multiplayer. So this one is just, a game from this year that has multiplayer and is good. The winner should be excluded from the category. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds did not release this year, as far as I'm aware. It's still not. Oh, actually, no. It has its official release this year.
It came out on Xbox as well.
Came out on Xbox One, and I believe it officially releases on PC in a week or two as well.
Right.
So it did actually officially release this year, but it released in December. And last year's Video Game Awards, games that came out in December weren't there. They were in the Game Awards for this year. They postponed them. I saw somewhere before the votes were tallied and everything when you could actually... Oh, no, yeah, it's up here. In Best Role-Playing Game, Final Fantasy 15 is there, which came out in December last year. They bumped games from December until this year. So PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds should not be there because it released in December this year. They're purely basing this on the early access or the pre-release, press it had, and that shouldn't count. Though, out of everything else up there, they're all pretty shit. So,
yeah. So we got here. PUBG, Fortnite, Call of Duty, World War II. Like, fuck, who gives a shit? Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which
good fun.
Good fun. Arguably should or shouldn't be there, and then Destiny 2, which apparently is just bollocks. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it should win. Yeah. Maybe PUBG should.
I would
win.
say honestly, the only thing that would up there, other than PUBG, that was a good multiplayer experience that released this year. I don't count Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Yeah, the Deluxe Switch version came out this year, but Mario Kart 8 came out last year. Is Splatoon 2, and I mean, yeah, I probably honestly have more hours in Splatoon 2 than PUBG, but I think probably PUBG should have won. So, yeah, all right. I withdraw my initial contention over it winning because actually this year was just not great for multiplayer games coming out. Next, we have Best Sports/Racing Game. Now, really, these shouldn't have been lumped together in my mind. While I care equally little about both, there were enough solid releases in both sports and racing games this year that they probably should have had their own individual categories. The winner was Forza Motorsport 7.
Yeah. I feel like racing games should be a vastly different category to, sports ball games.
For sure. Especially
very different in the mechanics and things.
And there's such different audiences as well. Like, how do you... you can't reach a unanimous vote. It's not like with Best Shooter, for example. You could have probably everyone who enjoys a first-person shooter could rate every shooter in that category as whether or not they enjoyed it. Whereas this, it's like, I like sports games, but I don't like racing games, or I like racing games, but I don't like sports games. So you're obviously going to vote for the best of one of those. It's a weird one. But yeah, the racing nominees, Forza was the winner overall of the category. The other racing nominees were Project Cars 2 and GT Sport. And the sports nominees, none of which won, were Pro Evolution Soccer 2018, NBA 2K18, and FIFA 18. I love how all the sports ones are 2018, and we're still in 2017. I don't know when that became a thing. I know it was a long time ago that they made the games for the next year, but I don't know why that's a thing. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's bizarre. But I guess none of us are huge into sports games anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, pretty much. Best strategy game next. Now, this is a surprising one. I think... Yeah, so the winner in this category was Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. I think the reason it's so surprising to me isn't necessarily because of the quality of the game. It was a great game. I think it's just because I would never have expected a non-PC game to win Best Strategy Game. And everything else there is a PC game kind of thing. So it's like, you just don't think of strategy games on any other platform. So the other nominees were the XCOM 2 DLC, War of the Chosen, Tooth and Nail by Pocket Watch Games, not heard of it. Looks like rats. Total War Warhammer 2 also looks like rats. And Halo Wars 2 with gorillas. So very animal.
Rats and gorillas.
Rats, gorillas, and rabbits won. So there we go. Next category, we got Best Family Game. And surprise, surprise, every title's a Switch game. So
yeah, which is awesome. Yeah. I fucking love that.
The winner, Abe would love, is Super Mario Odyssey, or SMOD, as he affectionately refers to it. I can't think of a better game, to be honest, to win that category.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
thoroughly deserved. Like it's the family game. Maybe Mario Kart 8, but then
again, I don't count it. It came out last year. A re-release of it within. So I would count a re-release if it's been a long time. But if it's been a year, then it's not been long enough. Stay where you were, Mario Kart. Well, don't come to Switch, but don't call yourself a new game. That's like that's like saying Breath of the Wild Switch won this year and a runner-up was Breath of the Wild Wii U. Like it's, you can't.
Yeah, sure.
The other nominees were, as Reagan already mentioned, Mario Kart 8. We also have Mario plus Rabbids, Sonic Mania, and Splatoon 2. Sonic Mania, of course, was also on many other platforms. It was on pretty much everything. So that is one that if you don't have a Switch, you can still pick up and is a great family game. Best fighting game. Who plays fighting games here? Who cares about fighting games?
No, but I do enjoy that ARMS is in there.
Yes,
which is
I do as well.
Maybe just because they needed to, they needed a game.
I think that's it, right? They just needed 5, and they're like, shit, only 4 came out this year. One of them's a side-scrolling indie game, so it's like, yeah, they clearly were scraping the barrel there. The winner was Injustice 2. I'm surprised, but at the same time, looking at what's there, maybe I'm not. Maybe I shouldn't be.
So I'm just surprised that it won over a Tekken game in a year that Tekken 7 came out. Like that another game took it out, based on nothing. Like I haven't played either of them.
I guess you have to consider what's typically viewed as the objectively superior fighting game: Mortal Kombat or Tekken, because that's what Injustice 2 is. It's Mortal Kombat with DC characters.
Right.
So if people prefer Mortal Kombat to Tekken as a technical fighting game, then it would make sense, I guess, that Injustice 2 won because it is Mortal Kombat but DC.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
And we had Tekken and ARMS and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Nidhogg 2.
ARMS. What a fucking awesome game.
Almost bought it the other day, actually. It was really cheap. And I was like, man, I could get it for that cheap. And I was like, no, I couldn't. Best RPG next. Here's a good one. Everyone plays RPGs. And were a lot of good ones this year, apparently, looking at this list. There were 4 great games in this list. So I'm tired. Who wants to take over for a bit?
All right, cool. All right, I'll do it. Best role-playing game. So I'll read the list and then I'll tell you who won. So the list was South Park, Fractured But Whole, Final Fantasy 15, Divinity, Original Sin 2, Nier Automata, and Persona 5. And the winner was Persona 5. I played one of these. So and it was okay. So what are you guys' thoughts?
I I would agree with the winner. I played 2 of the games in the list. And Persona 5, sure. Like, everyone who played it loved it. It was supposedly, I think people do actually now refer to it as the best Persona game, and Persona was already up there among sort of, the best RPG franchises, not just JRPG, but RPG franchises in general. So if there is a new king of that franchise, which already was among the kings of the genre, then yeah, it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, I only
Mike, any
played.
thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't play Persona 5, but have heard it is pretty awesome. So that's fair. I played Final Fantasy 15 and Nier Automata. Personally, I probably wouldn't have put 15 on the list. I did have a lot of complaints about it.
I just wouldn't even have featured I'd agree with that, to be honest. Yeah.
A, it came out last year. B, not best.
Yeah. Well,
2 strikes.
Yeah, I mean, I have heard the DLCs are pretty good, but I stopped playing them before they came out. So.
I watched one of them and played one of them, and it didn't look great.
The VR
That's the
fishing
only one I've
expansion.
heard about. Yeah.
No, well, they got the stories, the character stories episode.
The last one, I think, the Ignis one or whatever just came out. I think that might have been the last one. I watched the Gladiolus. Gladiolus. I watched that one. I don't even know. I haven't even played the game. I watched that one, and it looked like the rest of the game. I couldn't tell a difference. It looked like it probably was already in the game, and they took it out to make more money. And yes, I played Nier and Persona in it, and I played Persona for 20 minutes. So Nier is really the only one I probably played in it, and I don't think it should have won because I don't class it as an RPG. It was an action game.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, moving on. Best action/adventure game. Speaking of action games,
Nier's not here.
Nier's not here, which is
because apparently they regard it as an RPG. I don't know. Weird.
Yeah, don't know what's up with that. Hopefully, it'll take an award out. So, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, Assassin's Creed Origins, Super Mario Odyssey, Horizon Zero Dawn, and the winner, which was Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild. I'm happy with the winner. I'm probably less happy with the list, I think. I'm happy that Horizon Zero Dawn's on there, but like you say, I think probably Nier should be on that one, maybe?
Yeah. I think it I mean, it depends on how... There's so many ways I could knock games off the list in place fit. I could knock Origins off there because Ubisoft doesn't deserve a place anywhere. I could knock Uncharted off there because it was like a standalone DLC, but it wasn't a game. I mean, I don't know. I'm always iffy when they add a DLC to a list of potential best games for a year. Even if it's a
standalone game, and I thought it was really good. So.
Yeah, well, that'll be why it's there. People did love it, but at the same time, I don't know. I can't see it as its own game. To me, it just looks like a DLC. They take the 2 least liked characters in the franchise and try to make you like them by forcing you to play as them for 10 hours. That, I don't know. Doesn't seem like good business sense to me, but it worked. Uncharted, Naughty Dog can pull anything off, apparently.
Yep. Cool. Well, the next one up on the list, best action game.
This list can get fucked. This list is so bad. 3 of the games on this list aren't action games, and again, Nier's not up here. What is this list?
Yeah, it's bizarre. So we had Wolfenstein 2, Prey, Neo, Destiny 2, and Cuphead. Wolfenstein 2, absolutely. Prey, maybe. Neo, what? Destiny 2, yeah. Cuphead, definitely not.
Oh, do they not have... okay, I guess that kind of makes sense. I just scrolled up to the top of the list. They don't have a category for shooters, so that's why they're here. I was like, why is Wolfenstein here? Why is Destiny here? Prey is more of an RPG. I was like, why are these games here? They're not action. They are full of action, but their genre is not action. But apparently they don't have a shooter genre, so that's why they're here. Yeah.
Oh,
out of the games listed there, Wolfenstein 2 is clearly the best. So I'm not really
nice.
I'm not against the winner. Just the category makes no sense. Jeff, you got to do something that makes sense because you're losing us.
Yeah. Moving on, best VR/AR game. We had Star Trek Bridge Crew. We had...
I want to be the captain.
We had Farpoint, Lone Echo, Super Hot VR, and Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. The only one of these that I've played is Super Hot VR, and I had a fucking excellent time with it. It's super, super fun. The rest of them, I'm not sure, but I'm sure Resident Evil 7 Biohazard was a good game. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I've only played Resi 7 on that list, and it was a great game. So I can only imagine it's even better in VR. I only played it normally, not in VR, but it was so good normally that it would be even better in VR. I already gave it 10 out of 10 within that genre, as a shining example of what those games should do. It would be like a 20 out of 10 in VR, I'm sure. It'd be so good. The atmosphere would just be enhanced so much.
Cool. Mike, any thoughts?
No, I haven't played any of those games. So, yeah.
Sweet.
I haven't even heard
Moving on.
Some of them, so.
Yeah. Nice. Best handheld game. In a year where we've had a fucking monster of a handheld console come out, it actually...
None of its games are on here.
Yeah, I guess maybe they're not counting the Switch. Anyway, Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, which looks like a really interesting, almost like stop motion-y type thing. Monster Hunter Stories, Ever Oasis, Fire Emblem Echoes, Shadow of Valentia, and Metroid, Samus Returns.
This is for Seamus.
Seamus, Metroid, and Metroid took it out. Go. Thoughts?
Yeah.
Have not played any.
Okay. I'm sure Metroid is a worthy winner there. Cool. Moving on. Best mobile game. We had Super Mario Run, Fire Emblem Heroes, Old Man's Journey, Hidden Folks, and Monument Valley 2. And the winner was Monument Valley 2.
Is Hidden Folks just Where's Wally on your phone?
It looks like it.
That's great. That should have won. I want that.
It's... I quite look like the look of the photo that they've used for Old Man's Journey. I'm not sure what that's all about, but it looks interesting.
A modern day Moby Dick story.
Yeah, something like that. But Monument Valley won. Well done, Monument Valley. Best ongoing game, which is interesting in and of itself. Options were Overwatch, Warframe, Rainbow Six Siege, Grand Theft Auto Online, Destiny 2, and PUBG. Balthazar, I feel like you probably have some thoughts around this one.
I've played every single game in this category this year, and Overwatch should not have won. That's it, really. It already took out Best Esport Game for the year. I feel like every single update for Overwatch this year was focused on growing it in the esports area and not growing it in its entirety as a game. And for that reason, it kind of fell in relation to some of the other games on the list. I think Warframe takes this category personally. Had a lot of updates this year, a lot of new content. It had the open world stuff added in. It was a phenomenal year for Warframe. I'm actually just really happy to see it's on the list. That a free to play game that's like 10 years old is actually still being brought up yearly in a category.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But likewise, I think, except for Destiny 2, maybe PUBG, I think Warframe, Rainbow Six Siege, and GTA Online both had stronger years than Overwatch this year. Sorry, all three had stronger years than Overwatch this year. So I'm not quite sure why Overwatch won. Maybe Jeff Keighley and Jeff Kaplan are the same person, and that's why.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? But yeah.
Nice. All right. Games for Impact. And I'm going to read the little blurb for this, because what the fuck does Games for Impact mean? It means for a thought-provoking game with a profound pro-social meaning or message. Our options were Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Please Knock on My Door, Night in the Woods, Life is Strange Before the Storm, Bury Me My Love, and What Remains of Edith Finch. Our winner was Senua's Sacrifice, which, from what I've heard about the game, sounds like a pretty deserving award.
I think Mike and I would be on different ends of the spectrum for this one, because I know that Mike liked, I may be putting words in your mouth, my recollection is that you liked the sort of the way that it tackled the issues it did, whereas I was on the opposite end of the fence and I thought it wholly detracted from the game and did it really poorly. So I don't think it should have won this. Like, maybe out of the other games there, because I've not played any of them, maybe it was the best. But if you compare Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice to That Dragon Cancer, which was last year's winner, it's a shit show by comparison.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree with you, Balthazar. Like, I do think that it probably would have been better if it was just like, as you said, like, it was a bit of a complicated explanation, but instead of it's just sort of her paranoia that she's actually going into hell or whatever, would have been done a bit better. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. Yeah, not much to say really.
Nice. Next award was Best Performance, awarded for an individual who did cool stuff. Laura Bailey for Uncharted: The Lost Legacy as Nadine, and Claudia Black as Chloe in Uncharted. Brian Bloom for being BJ Blazkowicz in Wolfenstein 2. Ashley Birch in Horizon Zero Dawn as Aloy, and Melina Juergens as Senua in in Senua's Sacrifice. Melina took it out. What I enjoy about this is that the number of ladies in there. I think it's quite cool that it's mostly dominated by lady characters.
All five of those people are women. Look at that picture of Brian. That's not.
Yeah, look at that smouldering look. Yeah. They've definitely photoshopped the shit out of his eyes, eh?
How is that man BJ? Like, how is that, like, Metro Man, the manliest man in the world? Like, it makes no sense.
Check out those cheekbones, eh? Like, man, them and some cheekbones. Yeah. Yeah, I not too much to say on this one. I mean, it's cool that there's some awesome talent in there. Yeah. Moving on, best audio design. This is one that I'm kind of excited about. Recognise the best in-game audio and sound design. Hellblade won it. Destiny 2's in there. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah, I mean, of the games that I've played, Mario and Zelda. Sure, nothing jumped out at me. Zelda had an awesome soundtrack, but I'm not sure that... Yeah.
It's bizarre that they have best music and best audio design as different categories if they're going to put a game like Destiny 2 in best audio design, which only had a soundtrack. It didn't have audio design, it had music. It had good music, it didn't have audio design, so why is it there? Like, I mean, I know that firing a gun is supposedly audio design, but it's not good. Like, it's not, it's not special. Yeah. When you pull the trigger, you expect it to go bang, and that's what it does. That's not. I don't know. It's weird. I think the only game in there other than Hellblade and Breath of the Wild are the only two in there that I think actually have notable audio design. With Breath of the Wild, silence being the choice for audio design there in a lot of areas, and it works really well. Whereas in Senua's Sacrifice, in fact, they're both the same thing. Senua's Sacrifice, I think, probably wins because of the silence, because most of the time all you hear is the footsteps or the rain hitting the ground, or drips when you're in a cavern, kind of for the sound the audio design is always when everything else is quiet, pretty much. And I think Breath of the Wild and Hellblade both did that really well. The other three games on the list, I can't remember a moment where you could actually tell what the sound design was because music wasn't blaring at you. So I think that's, I guess, the difference. This category feels like it really only has two worthy nominees. Abe could probably talk more to Smod. He spent a lot more time with it than any of us have, so maybe it does actually have really good audio design. I just don't remember there not being music playing at all times.
Yeah, agreed. Cool. All right, next up is the actual best score music. And we had Destiny 2, Cuphead, Persona 5, Super Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Nier Automata. And Nier Automata took it out for best score. You guys happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Love the music in that game.
Had a great soundtrack. I'm surprised Wolfenstein's not there as a nomination. that had a great soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
Again, I potentially put it over something like Breath of the Wild because that had amazing audio design, but the music wasn't particularly memorable. The most memorable track from that game is the Legend of Zelda theme song, which is in every Zelda game. I think, again, like, it just feels like there's a bit of a crossover there. I don't necessarily think Breath of the Wild should have been in best score, and I think Wolfenstein 2 probably should have been. But I'm not adverse to the winner. Nier had a phenomenal soundtrack.
Yeah. Nice. Cool. Alrighty. Next on the list, best art direction. And you could probably guess without even looking at this, where they went with this. Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, Destiny 2, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Cuphead. Cuphead took it out. I guess just because it's unique, right? Like, and it's clearly based on its art in some ways.
I don't know. The thing is, you nailed it, right? It's unique, but that's not the category. The category is best. It's not the best. Like Mike said, it looks kind of fucked up. Fucked up isn't best. I'd say Persona 5 destroys it. Utterly destroys it. Wipes the floor with it. If you're talking best, the one that actually visually looks the best. Destiny 2 and Horizon, don't know why they're there. They're generic looking games. They look like generic, trying to imitate real life, but with quirky stuff in it. They make the characters try to look like people. They make the trees look like trees. The terrain look like terrain. Like, it's not really a direction. It's just imitating life and putting robot dinosaurs in both of them. The other three, though, Cuphead, I don't know. It's just, it's a word thing. Abe and I have enough debates about this all the time. The use of, I'm strongly opposed to the use of the word best in these sorts of things if it actually means, favorite as nominated by the audience. Because favorite, that's subjective. Best is an objective word, not a subjective word. And Cuphead is not objectively the best looking game on that list. It's objectively the worst looking game on that list.
Yeah, it says outstanding creative and or technical achievement. I wouldn't really say Cuphead is technical achievement, being that it's, based off, like 1920s animations or whatever.
And I wouldn't say it's creative when the characters are literally Mickey Mouse, but with a cup for a head.
Yeah.
That design is literally Mickey Mouse. So it's not particularly creative either. Just replacing Mickey's head with a cup isn't being creative. It's bordering on plagiarism.
Nice. Best narrative is the next one. We're getting into the pointy end of things. Best narrative for outstanding storytelling, yada, yada, yada. What Remains of Edith Finch, Nier Automata, Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Wolfenstein 2. And the winner was What Remains of Edith Finch.
I played 4 of these ones, actually.
Yeah. The winner was garbage, so I don't think should have won. I think so. This is one of those things, actually. I complained when I saw this. I think it was to Earn. I was talking to and said basically that it looks like it doesn't matter even if you are able to fund and set up your own awards show. You always have to have that obligatory let's acknowledge an indie developer because it's just a faux pas to not at an awards show award. And that's what they've done here. They've given it to Giant Sparrow. Because if you don't give an indie game a major award at a video games award show, then people say, oh, you're not actually experienced everything that's out there. You're just mainstream. You're clearly backed by publishers, blah, blah, blah. So you have to give one to an indie. Shouldn't give best narrative to a shitty indie with no narrative, though. The narrative was garbage. I watched a playthrough of that game, and it was shit. It was Gone Home level of shit, where the narrative was all banking on a twist at the end, and the twist was shit. Literally any other game in that category should have won. I wouldn't care. Nier, Hellblade, Wolfenstein, Horizon. My vote would be Nier, but literally any of those 4 could have won, and I wouldn't care. I'd agree with it. What Remains of Edith Finch should not even be there. The ingredients list on the back of my VCAN here has a more engaging narrative than What Remains of Edith Finch.
Good one. Best game direction. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, Wolfenstein 2, Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, Super Mario Odyssey, and Horizon Zero Dawn. And the winner was Legend of Zelda. I can't argue with that. I think game direction is probably a pretty good award for Zelda.
I think from what I've played and heard of these games, they're all pretty solid picks. So.
Yeah. It's actually interesting because they've all done something new, and I guess that's what it is, right? Best game direction. It's taking something established and and changing the direction of it into something unexpected but great. And all of these have done that. Guerrilla Games, all their games previously were, very linear shooters, so they completely shook it up with that one. Mario's just been back to his old side-scrolling platformer roots for a long time, so going back into 3D was cool. Resi has been, garbage for a while, so being good was a cool new direction to go in. Wolfenstein 2, very different from 1. And yeah, Zelda's not been open world before, really. I mean, it's had a world, but it's been quite focused. So yeah, I actually, this I think is the only category in the entire awards show that I agree with every single nomination actually being nominated for.
Yep. Nice. My one thing here is that I probably would have liked to have seen Horizon Zero Dawn, maybe, because I think, I don't know, I really enjoyed the game and the combat and the way that, like, the narrative and everything in there. I just feel like they should have had more of a shoe-in on this one.
Yeah, sure.
Or at least one of the awards. But yeah, I don't know, that's just me. The last award is the big granddaddy, the game of the year. Nominations for this one were Super Mario Odyssey, Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, PUBG, and the Legend of Zelda. And the winner was The Legend of Zelda, which great, awesome. I'm more concerned about the nominations here. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think Breath of the Wild should have won. Out of this year, there's been a lot of fantastic games, but I think it's the only game to release this year that has actually fundamentally shaken up the genre of open world games and changed my perception of what an open world game can bring to the table. Because we've just been stuck with so many, littered maps with collectibles and shit and nothing really going on in them for so long that actually being reminded of what an open world game can be and should be was great. So I really think it's the only game this year to come out that's fully shaken up a genre within the industry, and it should be fully acknowledged for that. But what the fuck is PUBG doing on this list?
Right. Like, I was just thinking about this now. If they had swapped out PUBG for Nier, I reckon we would have had a good list. Love that. I love that Horizon Zero Dawn's on there just because they've, nomination is important as well. But yeah, PUBG must just be there because of the number of people that played it, right?
Yeah, that's entirely it. It's like just appeasing the masses. They're not going to give it the award so that they don't have to, lose any of the show's actual integrity, but they're going to put it there to appease the masses. The only thing PUBG did right this year was not be What Remains of Edith Finch. That's why it deserves to be there. I don't know. I guess it should be acknowledged for potentially, this could not be true, but I want to say it's, like the fastest growing number of players or whatever in an early access game, like ever. That may be wrong, but I feel like I've seen that somewhere by an actually potentially reputable source. And if that's true, okay, this is why we want little blurbs underneath each nominee, though, to see why it was nominated, because I don't know if that's the case. I just see PUBG on a list which only has 5 games for Game of the Year.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's not, like, as far as, like, objective quality of the game, I just don't think it's up there.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 was better. That's going to start fights. But yeah, if you're actually talking about actual quality of gameplay, ignore the shitty microtransactions, ignore the pay to win aspect, just the actual gameplay that's present, 60 versus 60 big team battles. So Battlefront 2 was an objectively better game in terms of the actual fundamentally present gameplay. It may not have been better with all the other bullshit they added in. It may have become a worse game overall, but if we purely assess the gameplay, and PUBG only has its gameplay right now because it's not out, they've not been able to monetize it with microtransactions or anything. It literally just has its gameplay to go off, and its gameplay is not as good as Battlefront 2.
Agreed. In terms of the winner, Legend of Zelda, 100%. I think they've absolutely nailed that there, which goes to show, because, like, I mean, I would say that it's less accessible accessible than a lot of the other games on the list. So, if you've got a PlayStation, you probably played Horizon Zero Dawn. Persona 5's up there as well. Maybe not everyone's cup of tea. PUBG, you can buy that for the price of a coffee. But Zelda and Mario, I guess, are less accessible because they're on this new console and not everyone owns one. So this is kind of cool because it suggests that the game was chosen not just because of its popularity, but because of its absolute quality. Yeah. So yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that one.
It's funny how
good job.
What this awards show has really shown this year is that even though we had the Xbox One X coming out, which is without a doubt unquestionably the most powerful console released, it doesn't really have a showing. There are no Xbox exclusives here. The game of the years, none of them have been on Xbox until PUBG came out like a week ago. We've got 2 Nintendo exclusives, 2 Sony exclusives, and a game that was a PC exclusive until this month. Xbox has not had a good year this year.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah, considering that normally Sony's the one that's just kind of on the back foot a bit. Like, they've got a lot of fans and their first party games are usually really good. They normally just don't have the showing. They don't have multiple quality first party launches a year, whereas Xbox normally does. And this year it looks like Xbox has done nothing except release a console.
Yeah, agreed. It's interesting thought. So well done, Nintendo, for basically winning the year.
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much wraps us up for the Game of the Year awards, and I think probably our podcast, guys. We're ticking along. So unless anyone has anything they want to finish up with, we can think about wrapping it up right there.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's do it.
Nice. Well, I'll finish up. Might as well. I'll do the thing that Abe always does. We are on all the normal places. Thank you so much for coming and checking out the podcast. If you've listened to the whole thing, you're a legend. We're in all sorts of places. You can find us on overcastgamer.com. You've probably seen the RSS for the podcast, Facebook/overcastgamer, Twitter.com/overcastgamer, Twitch.tv/overcastgamernz, and we might be getting back into our streams early in the new year, maybe very early in the new year. So be sure to check it out. Thank you very much, and ka kite.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Bye.